October 31st, 2025. A tense silence grips the Horn of Africa, not of peace, but of looming conflict. Along the fortified Ethiopia-Eritrea border, two powerful armies face off, haunted by memories of past wars. Once hopeful leaders now trade threats, pushing their nations toward another devastating clash. The world watches anxiously as families on both sides brace for renewed tragedy. Ethiopia's demand for a seaport is seen by Eritrea as a direct threat to its sovereignty, reigniting old rivalries. The region teeters on the edge, with the first rumbles of war echoing across the arid plains. To grasp today's crisis, we must revisit the bitter history between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Eritrea's hard-won independence in 1993 left Ethiopia landlocked, sowing seeds of future discord. Tensions exploded in 1998 over Badme, escalating into a brutal war that killed tens of thousands. The conflict was about more than land. It was a battle for identity, pride, and survival. A 2000 ceasefire ended the fighting, but Ethiopia rejected the border ruling, leaving a legacy of mistrust. For nearly 2 decades, a militarized border and frozen relations kept the region on edge. Families were divided, economies shattered, and both nations poured resources into their militaries. The wounds of this no war, no peace era still shape every move today. In 2018, hope returned with Ethiopia's new Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed. Abiy's acceptance of the Algiers Agreement led to a historic embrace with Eritrea's President Isaias, sparking global optimism. Borders briefly opened, families reunited, and Abiy won the Nobel Peace Prize. But the peace was shallow, built on personal trust, not lasting institutions. The alliance soon shifted to a joint campaign against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, exposing old animosities. The Tigray War shattered illusions of reconciliation, leaving Tigray devastated and trust broken. Once the common enemy was gone, old suspicions resurfaced with renewed intensity. The promise of peace faded, replaced by the same old rivalry. By late 2023, the fragile peace had unraveled. Ethiopia's leaders declared sovereign access to the Red Sea a national imperative, fueling nationalist fervor. Eritrea saw this as an existential threat, responding with mass mobilization and border fortifications. Both sides deployed troops, transforming hope into a tense military standoff. Diplomatic ties collapsed as leaders traded public insults and accusations. Ethiopia accused Eritrea at the UN of preparing for war and supporting armed groups. The border is now a powder keg, with both armies on high alert. The Nobel Peace has crumbled, and the region stands closer to war than ever. At the heart of the crisis is Ethiopia's desperate quest for sea access. Dependent on Djibouti's port, Ethiopia's leaders frame this vulnerability as a threat to national survival. Calls for access to the Red Sea, especially the port of Assab, have become a rallying cry. Eritrea, fiercely protective of its hard-won coastline, sees any concession as unthinkable. Proposals for land swaps or asset shares have been flatly rejected. The impasse is total. Ethiopia's existential need collides with Eritrea's non-negotiable sovereignty. This deadlock drives the conflict, with no peaceful solution in sight. The crisis is further inflamed by proxy warfare and mutual accusations. Ethiopia claims Eritrea backs TPLF splinter groups and the Fano militia to destabilize its government. Eritrea accuses Ethiopia of supporting opposition groups and exploiting internal divisions. Shifting alliances and deniable warfare make the situation volatile and unpredictable. Proxy clashes risk spiraling into direct conflict, raising the stakes for both nations. This tangled web makes peace elusive and war ever more likely. This conflict threatens more than just Ethiopia and Eritrea. It endangers global trade. The Horn of Africa controls the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a vital artery for oil and goods. War here could disrupt shipping, trigger economic shocks, and draw in world powers, with military bases nearby. Humanitarian disaster looms, millions could be displaced, and decades of progress erased. The world faces a stark choice: push for diplomacy, or risk catastrophe. The African Union and United Nations must act to prevent a wider crisis. Peace is fragile. If lost, it may never return to the Horn of Africa.